Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho Bryan Kohberger case. The attorney for the Gonzalez family, Shanon Gray, he speaks to Ashley Banfield in an interview. But something was said interesting in this interview I want to share with all of you. And I also want to give a little bit of insight with possibly what's going on behind the scenes regarding the Gonzalez family and other victims' families with this case. I'm going to share this interview right here, right now. Check it out.
I want to bring in Shanon Gray. Shanon Gray is representing the families, many actually, not just the Gonzalez family, but also he's helping to represent some of the other families as well. And he's had an uphill battle in his work because the judge in the case at the county level decided to impose a gag order, and there is quite a robust effort to fight that gag order, not only on my part and my colleagues in the media, but Shanon, on your part as well. So can I start, though, with today and this sort of remarkable turn of events? I want to get your legal reaction to what you saw today, both a refusal to enter a plea and a request for, a speedy trial to begin October 2nd.
Well, I mean, procedurally, everything was in line with what he had the right to do. He could have took the stand in silence or plead not guilty or guilty. I think it was a surprise to everyone that he didn't technically enter a plea by saying not guilty. That being said, every right to follow that process. The trial setting that they put today, the likelihood of that going, I don't know. I don't think it's likely that we'll have a trial in October. That being said, it's within his speedy trial rights. And if he doesn't waive his speedy trial rights within that time frame, after that time frame, the judge can still extend it by finding good cause to extend the trial. So it's not completely up to Mr. Kohberger as far as when the trial is set. It can be extended by the judge if he finds good cause to extend the trial date, to extend his stay in custody. So
it's why it was so critical to talk to you today, because I am always curious about speedy trial. I understand the rights of the American citizen. I understand in our system of American jurisprudence, anybody who's in this country gets the protection and the benefit of our Constitution. Tell me a little bit more about this extension. Are we talking the judge? It's within the judge's purview to find cause for extending a month, 2 months, a year? Or what is speedy trial really if the judge steps in?
Mind you, the state would, if the defense doesn't want to waive the speedy trial, the state would have to ask for it in some way. They would have to give a basis for it. And the judge could either extend, they might ask for 2 weeks, or they might ask for a month or 6 months. And they might ask for 6 months and only get 3 months. It's really up to the judge to determine what is fair, because obviously you always want to have a fairness for the defense counsel and the defendant in the case is being charged, but there's a level of fairness in the state's case. Let's say there's some unavailability issues that come up with some critical witnesses in the state's case. Then they could always ask for a reset, and the judge could possibly and most likely would find good cause if that was the case, because it would compromise the state's case in some way if they didn't have their critical witnesses there, maybe a lead investigator or the coroner, or there's all kinds of things that can happen, but it's normally not extended out for years, right? It would be a short request, short time frame request for to extend it past that date. So
I know you're the right person to ask, Shanon Gray. Thank you for that.
So Ashley Banfield, right off the rip, says that Shanon Gray is not only representing the Gonzalez family, but he's representing other victims' families. And she said families, plural. I'm assuming that would be possibly Madison Mogen's family, maybe Xana's dad. Not so sure about Ethan Chapin's family. So he's representing other victims' families. What's going on here, people? Because it's believed that the Gonzalez family and maybe the other victim's family might intend to sue the city of Moscow, maybe Moscow police or someone in reference to this case. I made a report yesterday about a news report out there that the Gonzalez family attorney has filed paperwork with the courts about the notice of intent to sue. So made me wonder about this gag order, because remember at the Bryan Kohberger's arraignment the other day, afterward there was a gag order hearing about lifting the gag order. You notice that Shanon Gray said his issues was different than the Associated Press's issue and the Media Coalition's issue about lifting the gag order. He said he had separate issues. So I'm just wondering if him wanting to speak has anything to do with possibly talking about a lawsuit possibly being filed against the city of Moscow. Now, when we say lawsuit, and I put that out there, people are like, well, what can they sue for the city of Moscow for? They're not responsible for what Bryan Kohberger did. I think it's just a lot more to it, right? We don't know what their intent to sue, but it might not necessarily be with what Bryan Kohberger did and those people are liable. It might be other factors into play, like, not getting access to information, maybe, victims not being treated properly in a case, maybe possibly crime scene photos out there that other people have. Who knows? But they did, according to reports, file a notice to intent to sue. I guess they're preserving their right, and they have a statute of limitations up to a couple years to sue. But it looks like Shanon Gray is not only representing the Gonzalez family, but other families too. So he's the lawyer. We're probably going to be seeing more of him. Just giving you my insight and my perspective on this. You guys might see it differently. Love to hear your comments. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, covering the Bryan Kohberger case, newest developments, things that are said, players that are involved. This is a tragedy, and it's going, like Shanon Gray said, it's going through the process. Bryan Kohberger, is going through the process right now. Doubts that there will be a trial in October. I concur with that assessment. I don't think the parties will be ready. And also, he said the judge on his own can extend the trial to a different date. We'll talk soon. Stay tuned.